Hi everyone, I'm Ali. I'm a member of the congregation here at St Botolph's, and I just wanted to share with you some thoughts from Mark's Gospel. When I was at university, I was studying religious studies, and in my first year, our director of studies, who was a feminist and a Quaker, wanted to teach us from Mark's Gospel, and I thought, what on earth is she going to teach? How is she going to open up Mark's Gospel to us? But actually, the words of Mark's Gospel are so clear and so powerful that when she started to teach on it, it was just amazing because there was nothing else she could say apart from the amazing truths in the Gospel. And I've just been looking at it, going really slowly through it. I'm only on chapter 2, but just dipping into a tiny bit every day. And I'm just completely blown away by the amazing truths in this little book. Mark just jumps from one amazing truth to the other all the way through. And I was just going to share with you one little snippet from chapter 1. It's the last bit of chapter 1, and it's where Jesus heals a leper. The words say this, verse 40. And a leper came to him, imploring him, and kneeling, said to him, "If you will, you can make me clean." Moved with pity, he stretched out his hand and touched him and said, "I will, be clean." And immediately the leprosy left him, and he was made clean. And Jesus sternly charged him and sent him away at once, and said to him, "See that you say nothing to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing what Moses commanded, for a proof to them." But he went out and began to talk freely about it and to spread the news, so that Jesus could no longer openly enter a town, but was out in desolate places, and people were coming to him from every quarter. Now, you may know that leprosy was a common disease in those days. It's now curable, but at the time it wasn't curable in Bible times. In fact, it was like a living death, and it was a symbol of uh, physical and spiritual exclusion from society, because the lepers had to wear raggedy clothes, they had to have their hair unkempt, they had to have something over their mouth, and they had to shout "unclean, unclean" every time they saw somebody, because the disease was so infectious that people needed to keep away. And they had to live outside of the towns, so that they weren't mixing with other people, which meant that they couldn't go into the temple. Now, when the leper comes to Jesus and says, "If you will you make me clean?" Jesus is moved with pity or indignation. And his indignation is not at the man, which is what most people's reaction would have been. "How dare you come near me?" It's indignation at the disease that this man is facing. Now, normally, if you take a new white cloth and a dirty cloth, and you put them in a bucket of water to clean them together, then the clean cloth will not make the dirty cloth clean. The dirty cloth will impart its dirt to the clean cloth, and when you get them out, the clean new cloth will no longer be as clean and new as it was before. And so it was in Bible times. If somebody unclean touched you, you were made unclean. But here, the opposite happens. Jesus' cleanness cleanses the leper, and he becomes clean. He becomes clean of his disease, and it's completely gone. It says immediately the leprosy left him and he was made clean. This is an incredible thing to have happened. It has never, ever happened before. And Jesus immediately says to him, "See that you say nothing to anyone, but go show yourself to the priest and offer for your cleansing what Moses commanded, for a proof to them." So here's the thing. Leprosy had never been cured before, and yet God made provision for a sacrifice to be made if leprosy was cured. Isn't that amazing? So if you had leprosy and you thought you'd been cured, you didn't go to a doctor, you went to the priest, and the priest performed a test, and then he performed a ritual, a sacrifice, to say to everybody, this man no longer has leprosy, he is now cleansed. What an incredible thing that God made that provision for when Jesus cleansed the leper and other lepers in the Gospels. But what the leper does is he doesn't listen to Jesus. He's been cleansed physically, but perhaps not spiritually, because he doesn't listen to what Jesus says. Instead of going to the priest, he goes and talks freely about what's happened and he spreads the news. And as a result, Jesus can no longer openly enter a town, but has to go to the desolate places. There's a reversal here. They swap places. The leper who was not allowed in the town is suddenly able to walk around freely anywhere. And Jesus, who was going to synagogues and the towns and anywhere, people's houses, is now not able to go into those places. He is forced out into the desolate places. And this swap, clean to unclean, going anywhere to not being able to go anywhere, happens again and again in the next few verses. And it's a picture of the fact that Jesus is going to go to the cross and he's going to take on our sin and give us his righteousness. We are not right with God because of our sin, but when Jesus takes our sin, he makes us clean and he pours his righteousness into us, his right with Godness. It's an incredible picture of his grace and mercy, just in a few short verses in Mark. And I'd really urge you to look at this amazing gospel. And if you want some Bible reading notes, I've got some really good ones, so just let me know. But wow, incredible, incredible gospel and incredible truths that we find.